if you're a civilization that is advancing through these levels of consciousness, and remember, it happens pretty quickly. Once you're no longer scrubbing around, we're still fighting in the Middle East. Though, I lived in Israel 3 years. Over in the Wat, there's nothing there. People are killing each other, blowing each other up. What's there? It's nothing. It's like out here in the desert. There's nothing there. Murdering each other like you can't see over ideology, religion, this square piece of earth here, this ideology there. But once we get that sorted out, and you bring out the technologies in a state of peace where you can have no poverty and disease, what will people turn their attention to? Well, there'll be certain people who just play more video games and watch kitty cats on YouTube play the piano. But a critical mass of people, large number, will then be turning to the development of consciousness and creative pursuits. Because the work week will go down 10 to 15 hours, everyone will have abundance, then what do? So this whole creative aspect will kick in. No one's going to be racing around trying to be the big monkey to get more money from here and here, because who cares? You have what you need. So at that point, a civilization advances very quickly because they're freed up from the animal aspect of trying to grab stuff, and the whole consciousness shifts to abundance. You have what you need. So then, now what? You're alive, you're in a 3D form with a body, and so you begin to really explore and have the time to explore consciousness, the cities, spiritual states, beautiful technologies, and all of those applied peacefully, because you become a level 1 civilization. Okay, which we have up here now. What's beautiful about that is that this going from where we are, we're level 0 in the category, unfortunately. We could have been a level 1 about 120, 30 years ago, but that's been hijacked by people who benefit from conflict. But human civilization now is a 0. Disunity, war, primitive in technologies destroying the environment, extinction level events possible. Particularly once you hit the threshold we hit in the 40s. When you unravel the mystery of the atom and matter, that gets applied with the consciousness of war, conflict. That's how you end a civilization, along with the environmental damage from withholding the other technologies. So right now we're in the kind of the worst of all situations. Looking at the big, giant picture here, we have 8 billion people. We have enough technology that birth rates and longevity is happening, but we're using 1800s technologies. We're using literally technologies from the 1800s. The most advanced technologies we have would be nuclear power from 1945, atomic power. And by the way, all that is splitting the atom, creating heat. The heat boils water, heats water, and you have a generator that turns, just like an old choo-choo train, where you burn coal. It's just instead of burning coal or oil, you're splitting the atom, and now you have 100,000 years of deadly toxic waste, right? That's all a nuclear power plant is. Most people think an atomic power or nuclear power plant is taking direct energy from the atom magically. No, it's a boiler. It's steam. You're heating and turning a generator from the steam and heat. Most people don't know that. And it's like, why? This is like, that's what we're going to, in this movie, The Cloth Century, we're going to graph this out so the public understands what a complete fraud the entire energy system of the world is and what it should be replaced with, which we must bring out together, you, me, and all of us. Now, when you reach a level 1, the hallmark of a level 1 civilization, it's peaceful. It's no longer engaged in organized murder, meaning war, to resolve problems, and they're bringing out these technologies. So what all of us are here trying to do, we're creating a bridge community to the ETs, but simultaneously, we're wanting to fix the planet. Now, it could have happened sequentially. The planet could have been fixed between 1880s and 1925, 30. But we dropped that ball. And because we dropped that ball and the industrial fascist interests kept moving it, keeping it down, we now don't have time to do both sequentially. We have to do the interstellar because they're here. We have covert programs targeting them. That's an existential threat to our planet and others with weapons that are scalar, faster than the speed of light. And the biosphere is at a collapse point. And 3 billion people are living in such poverty that it's almost unimaginable. And 48% of the human population does not have plumbing in their houses. 48%. So these all have to be fixed out of compassion. And you say, well, let's fix that and then deal with the ET issue. No, sorry, because the ET issue was landed in our lap when we detonated the first atomic bomb. There have been covert programs that have taken that in the most dangerous direction possible. So if you're looking at the whole system and not just one little slice of it, then you realize you have to do a comprehensive transformation involving all these issues. Now, a level 2 civilization, from that foundation of peace, you have this permanent long-term peace where you then pursue all these transdimensional technologies. But now you're in a society, global society, that's using them only for the good. All right? And anyone who does otherwise is completely put on a leash and they're stood down hard. Remember, the first initial era of level 1 and 2, it'll be the peace of the chained dogs, is the expression. In other words, there will always be a sociopath that gets power who will try to abuse this kind of science and technology. Collectively, the people of the world have to say, nope, you're done, right? Now, people don't like to hear that. Everyone thinks we're going to be Pollyanna in all of a state of enlightenment all at once. No, this process is multi-generational. And unfortunately, I mean, I know I'm sort of very optimistic, really, about the future, but I'm realistic about the human conditions I have a clear appreciation of what humans are capable of, unfortunately, up front and close. And that isn't going to vanish instantly. There's always going to be a Hitler or a Pol Pot or a Dick Cheney or whoever, whatever. I mean, that you just have to say, okay, then what do you do with that? So, but at this point, it's permanent peace with people who've put systems in place to absolutely never let that happen again. The whole never again, right? I think it was funny during the Vietnam War, The Who, I went to their concert when I was 18. We won't be fooled again. Well, we have been, and again, and again, and again, and again. So that has to stop, where we get manipulated into one conflict and war after another by the people who profit from war, the warmongers, the war profiteers, the contractors, and the people who want to control people through demagoguery and division, right? Once you hit there, as I said, then everyone begins to turn to pursuing higher states of consciousness. Next. Now, level 3, this is where you're cleared interstellar. So once you're permanently peaceful and you've developed these interstellar transdimensional technologies, now you're interstellar. Because the quarantine, speaking of quarantine, before COVID, I spoke of this cosmic quarantine around the Earth, because they're really not thrilled about a group of guerrillas clubbing each other with nuclear weapons who are still fighting over patches of land and old ideologies from old religions and what have you, banging around in another star system, right? That ain't going to happen. That's really important to understand. So at this point, then you're cleared because you're peaceful. You're not using these technologies violently, and you've developed them so that they are stable, trans-dimensional systems where you can take entire spacecraft and people from point A to B, another star system, another galaxy. So now you're in this sequence going up. Those the corollary to that is that there's rapid increase in the study of consciousness, and more people begin to experience cosmic consciousness in these other states, but not a critical mass, but they're still very peaceful. And you begin to get integrated. Within the next 1,000 years, Earth and humans will be integrated into every star system that's interstellar. That's what I have been told. So this is very exciting. 1,000 years isn't that long, really. Now, at level 4, this is where you have cosmic consciousness in at least 1%. So we talk about the 1% factor. like when you meditate. But imagine there's another quantum jump here, and that's when 1% of a population is firmly established in cosmic consciousness. At that point, the whole civilization changes its orientation to where they're now able to get into higher and higher states of consciousness collectively, but the cities and their correlations in technologies really takes off. So at that point, the senior ambassadors, all of the ambassadors from Earth to other planets would be at least established in cosmic consciousness, that first state of higher. And they're emissaries with other civilizations, but in a higher function than the initial exploration. Those who are also providing guidance to other civilizations. So let's say there's a planet that's where we are now or where we were 1,000 years ago. Those civilizations, because they're recently out of that, can relate to. It's like because I was raised in such poverty and abuse, I can relate to homeless people and starving people and all that. So similarly, those cultures would be advanced enough to deal with emerging civilizations, because this whole processional goes on all over the cosmos without beginning in time or space. It's beautiful. So then, now this is now the big leap right here. When everyone on a planet is born in cosmic consciousness. Born. That is, because epigenetically, if you understand what we've discovered, there's all they used to call it junk DNA. No, it isn't junk. So in states of meditation and higher consciousness, there's a genetic unlocking that happens. And whatever ability is developed passes on in one generation. One. And they just recently found that in the seminal vesicles and RNA of males, that is actually in one generation passed on. Very interesting neuroscience and genetics and epigenetic studies going on all this, which I won't bore you with the data, but just understand that it isn't something that takes thousands of years. You reach this point, it's the next generation, goes beautiful. So at this point, when you have everyone born into cosmic consciousness, widespread, the whole planet's enlightened, and the cities accelerate because everyone's in that state going in towards this more beautiful ability to just think and materialize something. And the technologies then parallel that state of consciousness. So the technologies become more and more like cosmic and celestial. Next. And this, where you get to here, this is where it keeps going on. At level 6, you have the 1% or more of the population are in God consciousness, able to materialize things, do all the cities, everything. And that world actually takes on qualities almost of a celestial realm. The construction, the energy, the facilities. It'd be easy to mistake them for an astral world and not a physical world. It's that beautiful, gorgeous, exquisite. Then level 7 is when everyone is born in God consciousness. By the end of this 500,000 year cycle, Homo sapiens will be at 7. Every man, woman, child born on the planet will be born in that state of God consciousness, and then learning unity consciousness after that. So this is the trajectory we are on. It's beautiful. This is why I'm always so optimistic, because I've seen this. And these civilizations correlate to the celestial realm, not just resemble it, some of the qualities. In other words, at that state, as you know, in God consciousness, you can decide to drop the body or be in a physical form. You can, you have all the cities mastered in your availability. And so at that point, imagine a whole civilization that has that, but then their technologies and their light ships. That's why the craft that was out in Wilcox, the whole craft itself was itself God consciousness related. The energy and the state of that state of consciousness was emanating from the craft. It was a beautiful experience. And we get visited by those periodically on our CE5 expeditions. And then going further, Level 8, all the technologies are innately like cities and look like celestial. So this level 8, this just gets a further refinement to where most people would confuse that civilization with an angel or something from the celestial realm, every manifestation of it. But they're still not. They actually have planets, what have you. Next. Now we get into something that's almost beyond human experience, but the Brahman universal consciousness state, 1% again reaches that. Those are the guardians of other worlds. That's that light being. And in level 10, not just 1%, but the entire planet are experiencing the cosmos and the creation as themselves, individually and collectively. Very advanced, beautiful states. And I understand there's progression beyond what I've been able to see here, but it's not a human. I don't think a human, what I've been told is the humans, we can't comprehend that yet. All this we can comprehend easily, right?